That is not my friend. How many of you have staff files that look like that? Well, that's the reality, isn't it? That the keeping track of all of the trainings and documentation and staff files in a childcare facility is a lot of work. It's a heck of a lot of work. So let's talk about how we can help you consolidate, simplify, and be more in control of making sure your staff in your center is compliant. So we talked in our last video on what to do with a new hire, and we talked about employee docs and training, and we showed you, I mentioned to you that checklist that they can check, or you could check as they turn it in. I would really empower that checklist to be the responsibility of that new employee. This is going to be your staff checklist. And so that's what we call this document, a staff checklist. We have most everything we need on here to make sure that a staff member is going to that their file is going to be complete. When you actually have your staff members folder, you're probably going to have a document that looks similar to this. You're going to have and our staff have two files, two folders. One is a confidential file with all this information over here, and the other one is going to be trainings and time cards here on the right. So when a staff member turns in their application, I'm going to check this here. This folder, this sheet on my left is going to be stapled to one of their employee files, and the one on the right is to the other. So in here, I'm going to make sure I've got all of these things from Trails, Central Registry, fingerprint clearance, child abuse forms, and all of that. However, in our staff checklist, this is going to be a snapshot of your entire facility. Again, it's important here because this our staff can see on their phone. They can see exactly what they have and what they're missing. Let's use Jenny as an example here. Okay, so at the very beginning, something that the staff look at a lot or need to make sure they complete a lot is their continuing education hours. So this is for 2019, their continuing education hours. So Jenny has 12. She's pink because she needs 15. So we're saying, hey, make sure you get your 15 every year, 3 of which need to be continuing, social emotional training. So Tina can look at hers and she says, I've got 15 hours, and of those, 3 are social emotional. Whereas Jenny has 12, she has 5 social emotional, which is great, but she needs 3 more in that or any other category. This represents that I have Jenny's application, I have her driver's license, her social security card, her AWOL form, I-9, W-4, confidentiality. I've got that. I've got the child abuse reporting form signed. ECC, yeah, I don't remember what that is offhand. This tells me when she completed her pre-service training. So this is her pre-service orientation training with us. This would be checked if she completed the infant toddler training. So in this case, Jenny does not work with toddlers. She works in a preschool classroom with kids 3 and 4-year-olds. If she were to complete that infant toddler training, we check a box there for her. And make sure you have a certificate in their file to accompany all of these different trainings. This here is going to be for standard precautions. So she completed her standard precautions 5/9 of 18. Okay, so and that needs to be done annually. In this case here, abusive head trauma. So this would indicate that Jenny that her abusive head trauma has expired. So if we have a staff member that they took it, let's say she took it 11/13 of 17. So 11/13 of 18, she would have had to have taken it again. So I'll make this red. First aid CPR. So this is when she completed her first aid training, so that's going to be good for 2 years. Now, if she took this in 16, then it would have expired in 5/9 of 18. So let's say that's what she did, and we'll make that red. So now Jenny can see that she's got 2 trainings that are in red that are expired. So in that situation, we're going to make that her responsibility to make sure she gets those done. And we've got our own actions that we'll take and so forth. You can figure those out. Maybe we'll talk about that in a different video. If they don't have the CPR first aid certification, then they need to take the first aid CPR module, an introduction. Okay. Remember that we have all of that access for them over in the employee docs and training. This is just where I'm going to keep track of all of my staff on one sheet, again, so that they can see what their file looks like and what I have and what I don't have. So in this case, Nikki took her CPR first aid module, and we checked that box for her. I can see that her trails is cleared, that I've got FBI fingerprints. Let me slide this a little bit this way. Their CBI clearance came through, mandatory reporter, the date that they've got that, FEMA, fire safety within 30 days, the medical exam within 30 days. We keep track. Most times our nurse will, say they need to be checked up in 2 years, and that's the standard. But if we have drivers, we require that they see a nurse or do a medical exam every year. And if they have any specific medical history that our nurse or their doctor, wants to see them annual, then we put just an asterisk by their date of their last exam, so we know this needs to be annual, whereas this one here needs to be every 2 years. If they've taken the med administration course, which expires every 3 years, if they've completed driver training, you can track other things in there. You could put their Colorado credential on there. This is safe sleep training. If they have their CDA and when they took that, because they'll need to renew that every 3 years as well. So this we found is really effective. Again, looking at a glance, you can see all of your staff. You can see what they have completed and not completed. When Kathy moves on, I can pull her out. Whoops. I can pull her out of our existing staff and put her down here with past staff. So Jessica is a new staff member. Hers is all going to be blank. And this is where you will be the one that will document when you get her application, driver's license, social security number, AWOL. She didn't turn in her I-9. You got a W-4, and so on and so forth. So you can begin putting down dates and so forth that she completed all this good information. So I hope this is helpful. Again, you can create all this. You can contact me. I can share this with you. We can modify it and simplify it. The question is this more work than, why don't I just maintain it here on their file? And I'm going to tell you the argument is that you have to touch their file every time to look at and see whether or not they have their stuff completed. Think about this, is that when you receive their application, okay, they hand you their employment application, you're going to put it in their folder, you're going to check this line here, then you're going to simply check this box right here, and you're done. You don't have to come back to this anymore for that piece of paper. So documenting, the one-time turn in and check off stuff is pretty simple. So the reality is you're really going to use this for consistent maintaining trainings that need to be renewed, clearances, that kind of stuff. You mail it off. When did you mail it off? You could put the date that you sent off a form and when you got it back. But for ongoing file management, this has been a great tool for us. Happy to share it with you and get you saving yourself a little bit of more time, right? the more efficiently we can manage these files, the more time you're going to have to help in your classrooms with your staff and all these other things. So hopefully this is a good, helpful shortcut for you. Be happy to share it with you. Have a great day.